Hi everyone, it's Sue Zimmer, your friendly neighborhood science tutor from the Student Success Commons at York County Community College. It's spring 2020. This video is going to cover the tarsal bones, the foot. Good news is you don't need to know if it is a left or right. And I'm aware of the fact that it's probably going to be really hard to see these on the video, so I'll do the best I can. Make sure you at least have your textbook out, if not actually having this model out in front of you. That will be super helpful. And I'll try to give you little tricks along the way as well to help you identify things. So let's go ahead and start. Okay, so here we've got a foot. The first thing you've got on this foot, so here's like the toes and here's like the ankle region, just to get you oriented there. Toes, ankle region. So the first thing you've got here is the calcaneus. So this is the calcaneus. Sometimes it's like a handle. The calcaneus right here. This big chunky one is the calcaneus. So that to me is like a handle. See how I'm holding it? That is the calcaneus. Next up you have the talus. So this is like the ankle bone right here. This is the talus. So here's the calcaneus and here's the talus right here above it. This is the talus. On the one in the Student Success Commons, it might help you. There's a hole in it this must have been an articulated skeleton at one point, but that might help you at least locate it. The ones in lab probably don't have the hole in it, but just to get you oriented when you're in Student Success Commons and you don't have a tutor. So the calcaneus is the big one underneath and the talus is the smaller one on top. Next up, you're going to have, so you see all these small bones here. They all have a name, but it's pretty logical, which is nice because we don't always get that in anatomy. So the first one that you're going to label is the medial cuneiform. See it? So this is like the big toe. Right under the big toe is the medial cuneiform, which is nice because the big toe, as we probably know from our general knowledge of our bodies, the big toe is medial. So right under the big toe is the medial cuneiform. So then next up, if I'm holding it the way I am, you're looking at the sort of anterior part of the foot here, and the big toe is medial. So the medial cuneiform, and then next up, what do you think we have? The intermediate cuneiform right here. So this is the medial cuneiform under the big toe. And then if you move right over, you have the intermediate cuneiform. So it's the one in the middle. It's the intermediate cuneiform. And then the nice thing is, right after that, you have the lateral cuneiform. So that is a really nice little set there. Under the big toe, you have the medial cuneiform, then the middle is the intermediate cuneiform, and then all the way over is the lateral cuneiform. So that makes a lot of sense to me. So now you've got this one. So here's the lateral cuneiform. Now we're going to go over to this big one. So I'm kind of in the region of the pinky toe, so the more lateral part of the foot now. So here's the pinky toe. And we're right underneath it, this big one that's right underneath the pinky toe. So that is the cuboid, which is nice because it looks like a cube. So here's the cuboid, and it's sort of under the pinky toe. So that is the cuboid. The other nice thing is then we just have to name one more of these little tiny bones. So it's going to be the navicular. So here's the big toe. This is how I find it. Here's the big toe. Here's the medial cuneiform. And then under the medial cuneiform is the navicular. You see it's kind of like a long strip. So here's the navicular. Here's the medial cuneiform. Here's the big toe. Big toe, medial cuneiform, navicular. Right there. So that names all the little small bones in here. There's still a couple of things that you need to know how to do. So here's the phalanges of the foot. So just like in the hand, the digits of the foot are known as the phalanges, but we need to be able to name them a little more precisely than that. So this lower portion here, see these lower portions? Those are the metatarsals. A lot of students have a hard time remembering that these are metatarsals because there's a name in the hand that's very similar, and I'm not going to say that name right now because I don't want you to associate them together. But a good way for you to remember that on the feet it's the metatarsals is because toes starts with a T, so that's what I use in my head. If it's toes, then we're talking about metatarsals. You also need to be up on your Roman numerals because you need to be able to number them 1 through 5, metatarsals 1 through 5. So you can't just write the number 1, 2, 3. You need to know like 1 is an I and a 2 is 2 I's and so on. Okay, so the metatarsals are numbered pretty logically. You start at the big toe and you work your way over. So metatarsal 1, that's the big toe. 2, 3, 4, and finally the pinky toe is metatarsal 5. So I think that's pretty doable. You can do that. So the other thing that you need to know about the foot, the toes here, is that it has these phalanges. So the lower part is the metatarsals 1 through 5, and then the upper part here, those are phalanges. I'll just start with this one. So you need to know, is this phalange proximal, medial, or distal? So proximal phalange, because it's closer to the point of attachment. The middle phalange, because it's in the middle. And distal, because it's distal to the point of attachment, okay? So proximal, middle, and distal, those are the phalanges. You need to be able to say if it's a proximal, middle, or distal phalange. Important to know about the toe when it comes to the phalanges. There is no middle phalange on the toe. There is only the proximal phalange and the distal phalange. Proximal to the point of attachment and distal to the point of attachment. And that is it. There is no middle phalange on the big toe. A lot of students will end up calling this the proximal phalange, but that's really metatarsal number 1. So sometimes your teacher will label something like right here and they'll say name this structure, and then you're going to have to say something like proximal phalange number 1 right here, or sorry, proximal phalange number 2. This would be proximal phalange number 1. This would be distal phalange number 1. This would be proximal phalange number 2. This would be middle phalange number 2. And this would be distal phalange number 2. So just make sure you note that the big toe only has proximal and distal phalanges, but all of the other ones have proximal, middle, and distal phalanges. Good news is that is all you need to know about the foot. So see you in the next video.